The Alfi project began in the United States with the Council for Adult and Experiential Learning in 1999. CALE began initially with prior learning assessment. It was considered to be the founding organization for PLAR, and it looked beyond PLAR and began to think more about what would the other qualities and characteristics be, including PLAR, for a system that would be truly responsive and respectful for adult learners. And so in 1999, CALE and the American Productivity and Quality Council embarked upon a benchmarking project to identify best practices in adult learning, which resulted in the identification of 8 benchmarks of best practice and performance indicators for each. That work resulted in 2 publications. One was the original benchmarking study, and the second one was a manual for colleges and universities to use to assess their services to adult learners. In 2005, the federal government provided sponsorship dollars for First Nations Technical Institute to test the transferability of these principles within the Canadian context. And that resulted in a 2-year study with 14 partners from across Canada to test the principles. Unlike the CALE study, this project in Canada, the AlfiCam project, included not only colleges and universities, but community-based services, including an employment center, a community-based employment center, the education department of a labor union, municipal human resources department, and 4 adult learning centers in Manitoba. So what resulted from that was the affirmation that these principles did indeed transfer well into the Canadian context, and that they were useful as a way to look at services for adults in both institutional systems and community-based services, and as a way to enhance your services by looking at your strengths and identifying gaps, and using the Alfi tool as a strategic planning process for organizations so that they could make their services more inclusive and more respectful and open to adult learners. And my experience over the years is that adult learners are the growing majority of the population who need services that are different than those provided for younger learners. The Alfi tool and process does that very well.
Alfi is a tool you can use to self-assess how effective your organization is in delivering service to adults. It's structured around 8 principles, each with performance indicators of best practices. As a former teacher, I always wanted to provide my students with a target for what I expected. How can you hit the target if you don't know what the target is? This is the real value of Alfi. It provides you with a picture or a target that describes what an effective school or center looks like when it serves its adults well. Of course, it describes effective teaching and assessment, but it also takes a look at other issues that are peripheral to the classroom. Do you promote your program effectively to adults? How well do you support them in areas like career development and finances, technology, and learner supports? Adults come with lots of gaps in learning or worries about learning because they've been away from the classroom for a while. And finally, are you partnering effectively with businesses and community organizations to bring maximum benefit to your learners?
Outreach on one level is very straightforward. It's about how we advertise our programs and get our messages out. So that means promoting our programs at every opportunity. However, we need to do far more than placing an ad in the paper. We need to go directly out into communities and offer classes that are easily accessible at times of the day that work for people who are almost always employed at the same time as going to school. We need to be inviting, welcoming, extremely encouraging, and make the point of first contact as positive as possible. I also think of outreach as going far beyond getting the message out and bringing adults into our buildings. It's outreaching to students throughout their time with us, building relationships, showing we care and are invested in their futures too. In fact, their success is our success.
We try to make our adult learners feel very welcome. I've heard many students say once they've come to our school that it was really hard for them to actually come in and register. So I always make sure that I go out and greet people, that I welcome them, shake their hand, and just chit-chat a few minutes just to make them feel more comfortable.
Our policy was once we were 15 years of age, we were given permission in the Hutterite colony to actually quit school, because education has never been a big thing in our lives. But now we're starting to switch from agriculture and more into manufacturing, and we're starting to realize the importance of education.
How did you find out about the adult ed?
Mostly my brother-in-law, he actually enrolled me in at the adult ed. And initially I was going to do it here, but then we kind of ran that idea through with our management, and we decided, well, if you're going to need me, you're going to pull me out every time. In that case, if I'm in Beausejour, they won't have that option. And in that case, I could finish schooling way ahead of my schedule versus trying to do it here. It would have probably taken me 4 or 5 years, because every time I would have started a lesson, well, guess what? You have to go on the tractor. When I first walked into the adult ed, I was very scared in a sense of my cultural differences, but those cultural differences were recognized, but in a sense they were more appreciated versus seen as something to the negative. And the staff as a whole at the adult ed, like the day I walked in there, matter of fact, you were the first person I met there, and I was welcomed with open arms.
The flexibility of the program is so instrumental, because the flexibility works around the student and also creates that atmosphere of it's okay. If I can't make it in the morning, maybe I can make it in the afternoon or in the evening. For example, with a math class, one of my math instructors is here in the morning and then also in the evening. So if I happen to miss the morning, I can also come in the evening. That flexibility, because I think one of the big things that this learning center does, it is how that sensitivity that you're working with adults and you're not working with children. And the students we can really feel that. We're not being spoken at or spoken to or spoken down to. We're treated with respect as adults. And I've spoken to other students about that, and how is your experience here? What do you like here? And they all say it's because I feel at home here, I feel welcome here, I feel safe here, and that says a lot about the center.
Well, the teachers here seem really dedicated to help you succeed. They actually work with you and talk about all these options and make all these tutors available to you. So it's like you get that sense that they really want you to succeed.
To me, it meant it wasn't easy coming into the school. Let's put it off. I've been in the workforce for 30 years, and it was always my dream to get my grade 12. But to come in here, I had a lot of fear. But when I did come into this school, I was greeted by every one of these teachers here, and I had the total utmost respect. And actually, I felt good coming here. It was really good, and now I feel I have a sense of accomplishment because I'm actually doing it.
Awesome.
What does life and career planning look like? Initial intake interviews are done with each student as they register. At this time, the education plan is discussed with a look at future career goals. PLAR is a focus in Manitoba's adult learning centers, and students are encouraged to use the process to challenge full or partial credits towards their grade 12 diplomas. Career planning is done with all learners, and a plan is devised to assist them in reaching their goals. Efforts are made to reinforce the plan along the way. Efforts are made to encourage adults to become active partners in their learning, using reflective assignments and questionnaires, for example.
I wouldn't even have a plan if it wasn't for coming here. I wouldn't even know where to begin. Anything. I mean, work-wise, Ruby's classes, the management, that was awesome. That, honestly, I never really thought about setting goals just for like what you want, where you want to be job-wise, what, you know, all those kind of things, and your image that you put forth to people, and how to make your resume and all that kind of stuff. And Sue does some of the, or she does the career portfolio too, eh? And that's life lessons. That's lessons that I was never taught growing up, and I sort of cluster learned them all here.
Well, it's not only teaching. Your guidance counselor, she's pointed me to Red River Community College, which I'm planning to enroll in this fall. The coffee here, Jill makes the best coffee in Beausejour. It's like the Tim Hortons of Beausejour.
Well, a lot of things. One of the big things is the career counselor. That whole encouragement and support and possibilities that the career counselor gives. She's able to talk about and bring new information to you. And one of the other things that I have noticed about that particular service that you provide is so many other information about different courses and different things that Winnipeg has to offer. And she gets that information and she posts it up. And I find that quite resourceful.
A couple other areas we're able to do some individual career planning with people. And we also have a grade 12 career development course. So people really can step back and take the time to really look at what their interests and skills are and how that might match other careers or educational opportunities outside the school.
I never thought in my wildest dream that I'd take psychology. And it's unbelievable. I love English. I didn't care too much for math, but psychology, that's probably the first book in my life this grade 12 psychology book that I read from the beginning to the end. I'm almost finished it, and I'm amazed of what that book's about. It's about me, really, and because of that, I'm going on to college to become a counselor for drug and alcohol abuse, and that's like, things are happening. I'm getting a little excited because there's an exciting future.
Adult Learning and Literacy administers and supports the development and delivery of adult-focused programming through the Adult Learning Centres in Manitoba. Programming is free of charge, with a small registration fee, and is designed to enable Manitobans to attain high school credentials so that they can access higher education and/or better employment opportunities.
You pay $50 and you can take as many courses as you want. And I know in different provinces you're paying like $100 or $200 for one course.
You applied to go into teacher training, and where was that?
I started off with the University of Winnipeg, but then I transferred all my credits to Brandon University because they had a unique program there which was called UHEP, Brandon University Hutterite Education Program. And that really helped me also because I was able to volunteer in our school throughout the year, but then May, June, July, I took all my credits at the university. I took about 18, I once took 24 credits in 12 weeks.
Wow.
All A's. That was just phenomenal.
Wow. So how long was that program altogether? Was it?
It's a 5-year program.
5-year program?
Yeah. First I had to obtain my Bachelor of Arts, and then it was the Bachelor of Education. So it's 2 degrees. The Bachelor of Arts is 3 years, and the Bachelor of Education is 2 years.
I've had the opportunity to facilitate lots and lots of PLAR, and a number of times I've had students come to me who've never graduated with all kinds of documented experience that allowed me to match the outcomes of the kinds of things they've done to courses in the Manitoba curriculum.
Hi, my name is Kathy Moore. I'm a teacher here at the River East Transcona Adult Education Program. I've been teaching here for the last 9 years, and I teach math and career development. Adult learners come to us with a variety of challenges. We adapt our courses to fit the learners, giving them support and the flexibility they need to meet all learning outcomes in their own way. We follow the provincial curriculum and make learning relevant to their lives. We talk about investments, personal income taxes, the difference between the life insurance choices they may have, calculations about mortgages, and basic numeracy skills for algebra and statistics. We have a team of adult educators that sit on the Divisional Assessment Committee. We work in conjunction with other educators to evaluate our program and ensure credits gained from our center are equal to other institutions. A mature student diploma from the River East Transcona Adult Education Program is no less work or less knowledge than any high school diploma.
I guess for me to get my grade 12 was really important. I remember when I quit school when I was 16 in grade 11 and went to work, and even at that moment I felt that I was sorry, like I wanted to continue, and I thought to myself, well, I'd go back soon, like I would probably just maybe take a year off and then go back and finish my grade 11 and grade 12. But things didn't work out that way, so I ended up getting married and having 2 children, and I did go back to school, but I went back to nursing. I went into nursing. I had all my documentation of things that I had done and certificates and non-credit courses I'd taken, so I gathered them all up and brought them down, and you had a look at them. And fortunately for me, I got my grade 12 without doing too much hard work. So I was thinking, in a way, I felt like I cheated the education system, but I didn't really, because when I look at everything that I've done, that told me something. It told me that, you did it, even if you didn't do it the way that it was supposed to be done. And so, that meant a lot to me. And I guess going to the graduation ceremony and having to wear the gown and the cap, that felt pretty good too.
As the director of a center, I'm responsible for the quality of teaching and assessment that goes on in my center. One of Alfi's teaching learning performance indicators states that adults should be involved and active in their learning, and similarly, Alfi states adults need to be actively involved in their own assessment.
When you started at the adult ed, you basically had, age 15. How old? What grade would you have been?
I personally think grade 1, page 3. But then we started with grade 6 and kind of boosted myself up to grade 9 pretty quick, but I probably spent every night, day and night, working on it pretty much 24/7. I probably slept about 3 hours every night. Sometimes I worked till 3 o'clock in the morning. I didn't go to sleep, I had a nap instead. That's what I call it, for an hour, and I left the lights on. That way I could get up better, and I kept on working, and I've been working very, very hard, and it's actually, looking back, I think it kind of paved my way to university, because the foundation and the basics that I learned at the adult ed, they kind of paved the way for university. Getting my grade 12 was actually a lot harder than actually university itself.
I absolutely love working in this setting because I see the willingness and sort of the eagerness to learn, how everyone's sort of working in groups. It just feels more like a I don't know, like family, or like we're like a community in this classroom.
As far as teaching learning process, there's a variety of choices and assessment tools that I use with my students. For example, in my math class, we do a lot of mental math activities. These are activities where they're not allowed to use the calculators and they have to do all the calculations in their head. These activities help to strengthen their essential skills, basic numeracy skills that they'll need to use after they leave us here in the cloud. We do math journaling in the class as part of our assessment, where they get to write down their math ideas. This helps with communicating and the writing essential skills. Problem solving is a significant part of my course. Oftentimes students struggle with that, so we'll put them together in a group setting, and each of them works together to give their ideas to the group and collaboratively come up with a solution to the problem. And sometimes they even get to do problem solving on their own, just to prove to themselves that they can do it. Also, projects are a large part of my math curriculum. Most math teachers give quizzes and tests, and that's about it. But in this class, the students have to work through projects and prove the knowledge that they've gained.
The teachers, I mean, if you think about the supports, like Lou, if you didn't understand fractions, say, something like that, she's teaching you pre-cal, and you're not supposed to even be like, if you're in pre-cal, you're not supposed to have to need help with fractions. But she would take the time before class or after class, or on Saturdays or something, when she's not even really supposed to be working, and she would help you, and she would teach you. And that sort of one-on-one thing is something that you wouldn't experience in high school. Everybody sort of has that care. And everybody cares how you are. Everybody's always like, how you doing? You know? But the information is awesome.
Sometimes learners, when they come to our school, might need some additional supports, either outside the school or inside the school. If it's outside the school, I'll give them referrals to agencies. If it's inside the school, we do have a resource teacher. We do have tutorial help, so that we can direct the learners to those people and bring them into the educational plan.
Karen actually was very good with me, because she, I guess it was my pride and ego, and I was scared and everything, but she calmed me down and made me realize that something to the effect that repetition is the mother of skill, and that the more I do it, I'm going to figure it out. And you know what, lo and behold, my math wasn't the easiest thing to do here. Karen actually, no, she's an excellent teacher, and she knew how to talk with me about, you know, she treated me like I was supposed to be treated. It was awesome.
The other thing about that diversity piece too is the age, because I'm 46 years old, but I'm able to connect with some of our youngest students. Two of our youngest students, and actually today I just met another one, you know, and that ability to be able to connect, and that they're open and receptive to myself too. That's a good thing, and that tells me that somebody's doing their job here. Somebody's really doing a really good job here, because if that's happening, it happened last term and this term too, and if that's happening and that openness is there, then that just fosters growth, and that fosters community.
Coming here, I've really enjoyed the computer skills that I learned that were necessary in today's world of technology. When I first came here, I knew very little about computers. Now I can proudly say I know computers don't have pull ropes to start, and they don't take gas.
Well, I've been a stay-at-home mom for the last almost 14 years, and I quit a very good job back in 1995 to stay home with my daughter, and obviously a lot of things have changed in the workforce since then. When I left the job, we were doing things by computer, but not a lot. A lot of the work was still manual, and so now to rejoin the workforce, I realized I have to upgrade my skills, and I figured the best place to start would be adult ed, because it's a one-on-one type of a situation, and they can tailor it to your specific needs, and it's also flexible. you know, I could still do my things at home and come here when I could fit it into my own schedule.
Strategic partnerships involve a coming together of employers and adult learning programs to improve educational opportunities for adult learners, often through the development and delivery of courses on-site in workplaces. The partnerships facilitate the setting of goals that are in the best interests of adult learners, and also that employers can see are to their own advantage too. In some situations, employees are then in a better position to apply for promotion, or in others they might be preparing for a next level of training, or in fact for a changing career path. Beyond employer and educational program collaborations, strategic partnerships may develop between educational programs and other types of nonprofit groups, always with the intent of improving opportunities for adult learners.
The connection between workplace learning and the curriculum is an extremely important part for adults in our facility or in our sector. They want to come in and they want to learn things that are meaningful to their life and to their work environment. And we found that the curriculum that's developed by the adult learning centers, such as McLeod, offer that. So every teacher has come in here and has done an assessment of the work environment, of the workplace documents, of the jobs at hand, and have molded their curriculum in a way that makes it meaningful to the adult. That engages the learner and makes them feel that their prior learning is being recognized as well as their new learnings. So that makes the learning quite realistic and quite applicable to their lives and their work. I believe a lot of our adults come from what I call the domain of the learning wounded, where they fear education, they fear failure, they fear all of those things that they experienced in youth. And I mean, the flexibility of delivery from McLeod's perspective anyway has been fantastic. They teach the programming on-site. It's flexible in a way that meets the needs of the adult learners' work schedules and life schedules, as well as the company's needs to have these people at work. Plus we need them to be at school. So the ability to flex that has been amazing, and it's been both advantageous to the company as well as the learner. I mean, it's win-win-win all the way around on that. The understanding of the adult learner's needs is also quite prevalent, and I want to bring us back to the PLAR piece. There's nothing worse than bringing one of our qualified individuals into a room and start to teach them concepts that they already know. So the notion of the prior learning and recognition is key here to being able to allow the learner to move forward instead of rewinding and moving forward. So many of our adults have come into these programs and have been recognized for their experience in learning in the workplace and have been granted credit or part credit towards their diploma or their journey, depending on what track they're on. That's amazing. That is something that didn't exist, I'd have to say, 10 years ago, maybe 15 years ago. I used to sit with adults who would be quite fearful of going back to traditional classrooms and starting over when they knew the basic concepts just through organic learning in life. And they weren't being recognized for that. So now they are, and the PLA process is wonderful because it recognizes that. And I even have an employee at BioVale here who needed one course in order to get recognized for a high school diploma, which was amazing. And has since raised that employee's confidence to a point where now she's moved on to a college level type learning and full certifications and accreditations. So, I mean, I need skilled, knowledgeable employees for BioVale. This does it. This is the fundamental foundation route for people in the workplace that can't quit work and go back to school. And without this, I don't know if we could survive.
I think one of the key feature of that program, I think it's the PLAR thing.
Yes,
like you mentioned, because on the wing here, whether it's civilian, military, those individuals have developed skill. But like you said, there was no really mechanism for them to get a recognition for those skills that they have acquired through their work experience. And I think for those individuals who have didn't complete their grade 12 to have that here, and that mechanism in place. I think that was a great feature.
One of the reasons that working with adult ed centers works so well is that for my particular training program, there is a direct link from training to employment. So that at the end of the training program, as long as they complete this educational upgrading, there is a job for them. So there's that direct connection between employment and training. The reason that an adult ed center setting works best for us is because all of my students are adults. They're all people who've been through the education system, been out in the workplace, had some jobs, and are now coming back to do this upgrading so that they can get a better job. And to put them in a regular high school setting, for the most part, I think would be very uncomfortable for a lot of adult learners. So putting them in an adult ed center where they're dealing with other adult learners is the best fit for them.
The fact that they can use, I think it's 4 credits of the Health Care Aid program towards a mature high school diploma. I know some of your students have used that to achieve their mature high school diploma because the program has been there in the community or in your facility.
So we've formed an organization called Alfi. We now have a website. We have partner institutions and organizations, and we're looking forward to expanding that to make it more broad-based across the country and to strengthen the quality of service to adult learners so that they have their learning needs attended to in a more useful and practical way. So I'm looking forward to continued work with the Alfi network. Thank you very much.